All guaranteed fresh.
It all began back in 1962 in the Polo Ground, with Casey Stengel at the helm of a team that could do no right. The scene switched to spanking new Shea Stadium in 1964, and the birth of the new breed, an exuberant band of Mets fans devoted to their team like no other fans in the kingdom of sports. But Casey Stengel found no relief from the doldrums of last place. Injury forced the old professor to the sidelines in mid-1965, and a managerial career that ranged from exhilarating heights to the depths of despair came to an end. The frustrations continued as Wes Westrom took over the reins of the ever-popular but ragtag Mets. But not even bad times can last forever, and New York Mets' fortune started to take a turn for the better. The crowds at Shea Stadium finally had reasons to applaud as Mets youngsters came up to the big leagues to stay. To provide leadership, the Mets management called on an original Met and one of Brooklyn's most famous heroes, Gil Hodges. Gil had done a remarkable job in his first managerial post with the Washington Senators, and he signed to pilot the Mets for the 1968 season. Featuring a young pitching staff, the 1968 Mets showed promise. Gil Hodges suffered a mild heart attack in September, but recuperated quickly and focused his attention on improving a ninth-place finish.
But I do believe after this year that I've had an opportunity to see all the young players here, and I think it's been very encouraging, and I'm very optimistic for 1969.
September 24th, 1969, 1 year to the date after Hodges had been stricken, the Mets clinched the East Division title before a delirious crowd at Shea. The amazing Mets went from ninth place to first in 1 short year. The miracle didn't stop there. The Mets won the National League pennant and went on to the World Series against the heavily favored Baltimore Orioles. Behind unbelievable fielding, timely hitting, and steady pitching, the Mets were but one victory shy of the World Championship when manager Gil Hodges chipped in with his own crucial contribution. What was at first ruled a ball to Cleon Jones became a cause célèbre in the famous shoe polish incident. Gil's convincing oratory and Exhibit A, one baseball with a black smudge, became 2 vital runs as Jones was awarded first base and Clendenon followed with a home run. As the final out was recorded, the miracle was complete. The amazing Mets were the 1969 champions of baseball, and the supposedly unemotional citizens of the world's most sophisticated city went stark raving wild.
The reason for the New York Mets' success in 1969 certainly has been a great team effort, I think. I believe this is the best team effort of any ball club I've ever seen. Everyone on the ball club contributed a great deal to the success of the Mets.
Perhaps no one person contributed more than Gil Hodges, but with tragic suddenness, in the spring of 1972, he was gone. Another New York hero, Yogi Berra, became the new Mets manager. Yogi made his first big league appearance in 1946 with the New York Yankees. Before he was through, he had captured 3 Most Valuable Player awards, played on 10 World Series winners, managed the Yankees to an American League title, and had even been activated by the Mets for a short time in 1965. Then in 1972, Yogi won election to the Baseball Hall of Fame.
I always loved the game of baseball. I gave it everything I had. I'm glad I had a chance to play as long as I did. I hope my being here will be an inspiration for every boy in America. My only regret are for those who didn't live to see this day. My mother, my father, who died several years ago, my brother John, and Gil Hodges, who died this year. I want to thank the Yankees and the Mets, the only 2 organizations in baseball I work for. I would like to thank all of my loyal fans who supported me all these years. I hope they are proud of me today. Also, my friends who came to share this day with me. I want to congratulate all the men who are being inducted here today. And last of all, I want to thank baseball. It has given me more than I could ever hope for. And I hope that when I'm through with this game, I will put something back. Thank you very much.
The New York Mets started their 11th year of National League play with newcomers Rusty Staub and Jim Fregosi, helping to comprise a set lineup, the likes of which no Mets club had ever possessed. Opening day set the trend for an up-tempo start, with Fregosi and Staub coming through and veteran Ed Kranepool blasting a home run, while Tom Seaver and Tug McGraw combined to shut out the defending world champion Pirates 4-0. The Mets' quick leap out of the starting gate was aided by an exciting rookie outfielder with good speed and power, John Milner. Jim Fregosi, acquired from the California Angels, took over the third base position. '71's all-star shortstop, Bud Harrelson, continued his sparkling all-around play as the 1972 season got underway. Baseball's premier right-hander, Tom Seaver, got off winging with 7 up and 1 down. Rookie southpaw sensation John Matlack was a winner in his first 6 decisions. And if any starting pitcher happened to falter, Tug McGraw's relief work was absolutely flawless. The Mets were in first place, off to their finest start ever, and the fans were in ecstasy. Now, as if that weren't enough, the Mets management gave New Yorkers something else they've always treasured.
Hello, Willie. It's great to have you back where you belong. The Shea Stadium scoreboard tells it all, and the fans tell it like it is.
It's beautiful. Unreal.
I think it's wonderful.
It's great.
It's fantastic.
I really don't know, I was always a Willie Mays fan. We need him for the stickball game, right? I couldn't say,
I often dreamed about it.
I think it's fantabulous.
All I know, like when he was on the Dodgers, He was good, you know.
I think it's a great thing for New York and Willie Mays.
I mean, the Giants.
Nos gusta y estamos contentos que estás con los Mets.
It's the best thing that ever happened to me.
The feeling that I had when I came back was, it just was no expressing it. It was just a feeling that a town wanted a fellow to come back, and I think they showed that by in the way they treated me when I first came back, and it's just terrific just to be back.
Willie Mays made his New York Mets debut on a rain-swept, chilly Sunday afternoon in May. But over 35,000 eager fans turned out to roar their tribute to number 24. Willie was greeted by standing ovations with every move he made. He led off with a walk in the first and scored on a Rusty Staub grand slam. Then, Mays came up in the bottom of the fifth with the score Giants 4, Mets 4. The crowd tense with every pitch as Willie ran the count to 3-2 as we pick up Lindsey Nelson's play-by-play.
Payoff pitch to Mays. And it's way back in left field. It could be. It's going, and it is a home run. A home run for Willie Mays. Number 647 in his career. Willie Mays gets a great ovation from the crowd and in the dugout from the Mets as he belted a 3-2 pitch over the left field wall.
For sheer drama and excitement, it was an incredible moment as Willie's home run gave the Mets a 5-4 win over his old teammates.
When I went to the plate the first time, it was a strange feeling. Plus, when I hit the home run in the fifth inning, it was just a feeling that I didn't seem like I wanted to go around the bases, but you have to get used to that. And I never think home run too much. Most of the time when you think home run, you don't even hit the ball at all. But it just seemed like the stage was set at that particular time that I had to do something. And luckily, I say, I was just lucky at that particular time that I did hit the home run. And I think the way I felt, that the players on the Giants felt that they had to get beat. They'd rather for me to beat them, and this is the way I feel, going around the bases,
With Willie Mays playing a major role, the red-hot Mets ran off 11 straight victories to establish a 6-game lead over the second-place Pirates. And then, disaster struck in the form of an injury jinx that defied belief. John Milner, Cleon Jones, Jim Fregosi, Rusty Staub, and Bud Harrelson were all forced to the sidelines. Yogi Berra called on the versatile Ted Martinez to fill in at second base. At shortstop. At third base. And even in the outfield. Third baseman Jim Fregosi had to lend a hand at shortstop on occasion. And at first base, too. At one point, the troops were so depleted that manager Berra called on catchers Duffy Dyer and Jerry Grody to give it a try in right field. Although the Mets were decimated by injury, the fans remained healthy. Once again, Shea Stadium led the Major League's attendance figures by a wide margin. Banner Day produced a host of get-well messages for the injured corps. Family Day, always an entertaining happening, featured the Mets' offspring with a display of hitting and base running that could only be described as different. Old-Timers Day reunited players from the New York Mets' first 10 years. Roger Craig, Joe Christopher, Jay Hook, Johnny Lewis, Rod Canneel. Mrs. Joan Payson greets Willie Mays while Casey Stengel makes a grand entrance on a grand day. Let's not forget a young-timer who was mighty big at Shea in 1972. John Matlack led the pitching staff in shutouts with 4, recorded 15 wins, had a brilliant 2.32 earned run average, and was named the National League's Rookie of the Year. Jerry Koosman showed signs of returning to the form that made him an All-Star in 1968 and 69. Jim McAndrew had his best season as a Met, with a 2.8 earned run average. Tom Seaver was Tom Seaver, and that spells All-Star in any league. Seaver had his third 20-game season with a 21-12 mark and almost made the record books with a gallant try at a no-hitter on July 4th against San Diego. For the second time in his career, Seaver was only 3 outs away from perfection. With over 40,000 fans cheering him on, the first out was easy enough. Wayne Garrett to Ed Kranepool. Leron Lee was next. Lee's single to center halted the no-hit effort, and suddenly Seaver was faced with a tying run at home plate in the person of Big Nate Colbert. Seaver induced Colbert to ground into a game-ending double play to preserve the shutout and the 4th one-hitter of his career. Although Tom Seaver had an outstanding season, there were some critics who dwelt on his mid-season slump. Tom answered them on September 20th with a 1-run, 15-strikeout masterpiece against the Pirates.
It's nice at the end of the year to pitch a game like that, knowing that you're not over the hill at 27 years old. I mean, those things begin to go through your mind. You wonder if all the troubles that you've had all summer long are really a manifestation of age and wear and tear on your body. And you wonder if you'll ever be able to pitch the way that you know you can. And it's that type of game, striking out 15 and winning a game, giving up 1 run, and is a great morale booster. It's a great game to live the winter on, and it gives you a positive approach as opposed to, say, a negative approach that you might have to live with all winter.
Tug McGraw had a positive approach all year long, with 27 saves, an unbelievable 1.7 ERA. And when the 1972 All-Star game was on the line, the National League called for Tug.
As I started warming up in the last time I warmed up, I knew that I had a chance to be in the ball game because there was a lot of left-handed hitters coming up, and so I was really concentrating more or less on making good pitches. And then, as I started to go into the game itself on the cart, they called me into the ball game, and I realized I really was going to pitch in this ball game. And I started getting extremely nervous and almost to the point where I was afraid. But then I realized that they chose me to be here. I deserve to be here. I'm a good ball player. There's no reason to be afraid if I can get these guys out. And so I just more or less talked myself into being confident.
McGraw sent Reggie Jackson down swinging. Norm Cash looked at a call, strike 3. Bobby Grich became Tug's 3rd strikeout victim. Carlton Fisk went fishing, and McGraw had fanned 4 All-Stars. In 2 complete innings, McGraw allowed the American Leaguers no runs, 1 hit, and struck out 4.
I got through the inning all right, and I came back to the dugout, and I realized that if we could score this inning, we had a chance to win the ball game, then I'd be the winning pitcher. But the most important thing to me was the fact that the National League did recognize relief pitchers on the All-Star pitching staff.
And when Joe Morgan drove home the winning run to give the National Leaguers a 4-3 10-inning triumph, the winning pitcher was none other than New York's own Tug McGraw. Yogi Berra referred to Duffy Dyer as one of the brightest spots of an injury-plagued season. Duffy claimed the #1 catching spot and proved to be a reliable receiver, with a rifle arm that kept opposition base runners honest. At the plate, Dyer added power to the Mets lineup and delivered in the clutch time and time again. First baseman Ed Kranepool is quite a veteran at age 28. He's participated in every season of the Mets' 11-year history. In 1972, Steady Eddie was a dependable performer during the entire campaign. Third base has been a long-time problem for the Mets. Jim Fregosi became the 46th player at that position since 1962. But injuries nagged Fregosi throughout the season, and he sat out 55 games. For Bud Harrelson, 1972 was the most exasperating season. The National League's all-star shortstop in 70 and 71, Bud injured his back early in the year. The pain finally became too much. Harrelson was forced to the inactive list and missed over 40 games. Cleon Jones, a .319 hitter in 1971, was another star shadowed by that seemingly endless injury jinx. Cleon was sidelined for 50 games during the campaign. Despite the prolonged inactivity, Jones was the Mets' top RBI man in 1972. John Milner was one of the most exciting rookies in the National League. Watch him rob Frank Robinson of a home run with a spectacular catch. John Milner can do it all. Just 23 years old, the Hammer has that magic combination of speed and power you love to see in a young player. Another Met who was slowed by injury, Milner still topped the team's home run list with 17. What a thrill it was for New Yorkers to see Willie Mays roaming center field in a Mets uniform. Willie was pressed into regular duty in center field and at first base until sore knees became too troublesome. Wondrous Willie wound up the year as the Mets' third leading hitter and stroked the game winner 5 times. Rusty Staub was the epitome of Met frustrations. Obtained in a trade with Montreal just prior to the season, Rusty was the big, dependable bat the Mets were looking for. By mid-June, Staub was leading the team in all hitting departments, and the Mets were in first place. Then Rusty suffered a broken hand and missed 90 games. He didn't return until September 18th.
I really felt very strange when I returned to the lineup this year. It was almost like opening day again for me. I knew it wasn't, and I wasn't as excited as I am normally on an opening day, like ahead of time. But when the game got to starting, I was most excited and very pleased that I was able to have a good night. And the way it turned out with myself getting a couple of hits and scoring a run made me feel very good that I was able to do that. Not so much just for myself, but with so many people wrote so many great cards and letters to me about, gee, I sure hope you get back in the lineup soon. I just was very pleased that I could have a good day for him. In 73, for myself and for the Mets, I look forward to a lot of work in spring training. I think it's the basis for having a good season, and I'm sure we're going to have a unit that's going to be able to compete with Pittsburgh or Cincinnati or anybody that's in baseball.
With a healthy Rusty Staub and continued improvement from the youngsters. The addition of Felix Millan, acquired in an off-season trade with the Atlanta Braves, and Rich Childs. A strong pitching staff. Plus the steady play of seasoned veterans. The New York Mets and the Shea Stadium faithful have every good reason to anticipate a multitude of successes during the second decade.